for another race. It's Monza, though, the Temple of Speed, race number 4 of the day. If things were to finish, by the way, as things stand, Vitality would take over the lead of the points. They'd be on 96, playing Team Redline's 88, 76 for Porsche Coanda, but that's if they finish as they currently run. And let us be honest, that's not going to happen. A very important pole position for Dominic Blyer, but will he be able to convert that to victory? We can see BS+COMPETITION trying to make the move. It's Darren McCormack, though, going for the race lead against his old teammate. They go side by side down into the first corner of the Rettifilo, and it's Blyer around the outside, and it's McCormack halfway around himself. It is absolute carnage here at the Temple of Speed. Statsenko's gone straight up into second position. Marcel Chinchik's been sent round. Sorry, make that Erhan Yayovsky. Dom Blyer continues at the front end of the field, and it is an absolute disaster.
We're going to have to watch some replays to conduct a post-mortem analysis of that, because lots of death going on at Monza Turn 1. Just our usual things. Monza first corner. Too many cars in such a confined space. Dominic Blyer has got away with it. That is the benefit on being on pole position. But unfortunately for McCormack, second down to 11th.
Yes, indeed. That is very much a shame for Virtus.pro. We've got McCormack down there. Chinchik also dropped all the way down there. Two very good drivers around here. Mikhail Statsenko is the one to try and close in and attack the rear end of Dominic Blyer, potentially looking for a race victory here. Would be a very tough one for him to pick up, but a very important one for the team if he's able to find his way through. It's one of those ones, though, that the pressure's on, but you're scoring decent points. How much do you risk it?
Yeah, well, he's right up behind here. Blyer is quite sensibly, I think, going to remain behind through Parabolica. You don't really want to overtake into here because you've got the very long straight following. The Mercedes there getting a really good launch. Let's take a look at Turn 1. I mean, how do we piece this together, Lewis?
I don't even know where to begin. I do not know even where to begin. So we can see here, so McCormack got a touch and was sent into it by Chinchik. Dom Blyer, absolute genius, by the way, to be like, nope, see ya. Let's see what the reaction is from McCormack. Is he going to be happy? I think the answer is no.
No, he had to recalibrate. That wheel was spinning around very quickly.
Yeah.
The stewards are going to be incredibly busy for the remainder of this race, trying to piece that one together, trying to work out exactly what happened. But I mean, that's just normal racing, I think, around here. Just so many cars trying to fight for the space, and you know, sometimes it's not really anyone's fault. These things just happen in racing.
Well, we have had a brand new winner so far in the Esports World Cup. That was yesterday, Laminac, able to come across the line to become a winner. He was the 44th winner in R1. Mikhail Statsenko, second position. Also yet to be a winner in R1, and he is chasing down Dominic Blyer, someone who knows how to get it done. We saw that yesterday. He's also being chased down by Yuri Toman, a two-time winner yesterday. But Statsenko, after effectively the de facto team leader in Darren McCormack being dropped down the order, Statsenko, with all the pressure, is about to start dishing it out to Dominic Blyer, to our pole sitter. Can he do it, though? Can he find his way through? He's getting closer.
Yeah, this is his moment, because yeah, sometimes you just find yourself in these weird positions because you know, that first lap, obviously all of the carnage, sometimes you just kind of emerge in a good position. He finds himself here in second, so he's managed to avoid all of the carnage, all of the chaos, and sits in a really good position here. I think in the slipstream, this is going to be super interesting into Turn 1. What is his decision going to be? Blyer is not going to defend. He's going to sit behind for the time being. He has a half-second gap backwards, so he's he's willing here to work with Blyer just to try to extend the race, try to really try to pull away from the cars behind.
I think, you know, it's that one where you have to accept, you know the pace, you know your pace, you know their pace, you know the pace of everyone else is all kind of pretty equal, but you know who the faster runners are. And for Mikhail Statsenko, you can see there in the bottom left, trying to play the long game in this race. I know it's a 10-lap race. I know it takes about 15 minutes to do, and yet still you have to play the long game. You can see there you saw the right-hand side of your screen, you saw BS+COMPETITION. You can see Marcel Chinchik there, not looking particularly pleased with how this race is unfolded. Runs in 9th position. Next to him is Thibaut Casabon. We can see the hands there, I believe, of the driver currently sat second in the race in Statsenko, trying to chase down. It might not have actually been. I think it might have been one of the other drivers. Might have been Fiala, but still.
Yeah, I think that was smart driving from Statsenko there in second. You know, I think realistically, Blyer has got the pace. Obviously, Statsenko there in the slipstream is going to be benefiting a couple of tenths per lap at least. Going to be in a nice position. If he can just stay there in second, I think he'll be happy with that. It's not as easy to do, as we're saying, but if he can just sit in the slipstream, just not make a mistake, not get any slowdowns, then he'll be very happy with that. He's not going for the move into the parabolica at the end of the lap. So once again, just opting to stay behind Dominic Blyer for the time being, with Toman there in very close contention immediately behind him.
I believe I'm seeing on my sheet that Darren McCormack has received a penalty, which is a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. That was in qualifying. I'm not 100% sure as to how that applies, but it's a 5-second penalty anyway. Statsenko was getting the attack of Toman straight down the inside. Bit of contact between a pair and a bit of brush, and Toman is going to sweep his way through. It's Toman up to second position for Vitality, hammering home what has been a difficult race of Virtus.pro. But let's talk of the positivities. Huge point score at the moment coming in for Williams. They're scoring 44 points in this race so far.
Yeah, this is looking really good for them. Daniel Pastor and BS+COMPETITION is there, 5th and 6th together. Well, actually, there's a bit of a gap between them, but BS+COMPETITION is actually a bit under pressure. So this is perhaps a moment where we could have some teamwork. Is Pastor going to drop back to help his teammate out, or is BS+COMPETITION going to be on his own up against the 2 Virtus.pro drivers behind him? That's going to be quite tricky for him to remain in 6th place there. We've seen it so far where 2 cars can really help each other get past an opposing team. So BS+COMPETITION definitely got his work cut out to remain in the position he is.
Definitely so, as we ride on board with Daniel Pastor staring at Kazavon going through Ascari, flicks over to the left, then to the right, then back over to the left-hand side, just quite a lot of the curb there. And as much as you might think there's a bit of a gap there, 100% is in contention for this victory. We head back to the train behind BS+COMPETITION. So you've got BS+COMPETITION, you've got Fiala, you've got Ellis Jr., you've got Marcel Chinchik, you've got Darren McCormack and Tobias Pfeffer. And with that 5-second time penalty coming in, it says in session, I need to double check with race control, but I believe it's a 5-second time penalty for this session for exceeding track limits in qualifying. He is currently then running in 10th, but realistically will not gain anything major from the rest of this race.
No, I think from there, he might be able to gain a few positions, but if he's going to lose 5 seconds, then he just really needs to remain ahead, 5 seconds ahead of Jovski. And that's about all he can do, I think.
Well, he's going to be involved here because here comes a look down the inside. He taps the rear end of Marcel Chinchik. He squeezes his way past. He's got Tobias Pfeffer on his outside. He's going to squeeze him off the circuit. Again, do remember that all the penalties that you get license points with them, and those license points are also taken off of your team's total as well. So you've got to be careful in all of this, as Darren McCormack was going side by side still with Pfeffer, who is driving in the team that, of course, McCormack left at the start of 2025. McCormack used to drive for Williams, now drives for Virtus.pro, remains side by side as they head their way towards Lesmo 1, and they're still going to be side by side out of it.
Great battling between the two of them, lots of respect shown. They are fighting very hard, but they are giving each other just about enough space. Into Lesmo too, there was almost contact there. I was a heart and mouth moment. I thought they were going to just collect rear quarter panels and just start spinning. But good battling between the two of them. Pfeffer there still going slightly defensive up towards Ascari. Just very wary here. Look at that very ominous looking Aston Martin of McCormack. One of the fastest drivers here in the competition. Not the guy you want to have right behind you, putting you under pressure. But all of that fighting has let Marcel Chinchik there in 9th just pull away to the tune of 1.8 seconds.
Well, very quickly, I'm just going to roll you through the points as they stand. Team Redline have 88 points at the moment as things are standing in this race. Team Vitality have 87, Porsche Commander have 76, Virtus.pro have 66, Williams have 56, and Mauser at the bottom on 49. However, Mauser have only done one single race, and they're only 2 points rather off of Williams at the bottom of the table. And importantly, Vitality, who now take over the race lead in the hands of Thierry Thoman, so they take over the top of the live standings. However, this is their third race in a row, and their third race in this competition. They're the only team to complete 3 races at the moment. They go side by side here between Kazavon and Pajtor.
I've got to say, Thoman's looking really good here. He set himself in third place, early phases, just quite easily dealt with Statsenko, and then got past Thoman into turn 1. So he's looking really strong. He's already extended out 4.5 tenths of a second. So he's looking pretty good here. He's really got that Aston Martin hooked up around Monza. So I think he's just going to look to try to pull that out, maybe a few more tenths, get out of the slipstream range completely. Let's take a replay then. This is the move for the race lead. Gets in the slipstream. Blyer does not contend it. He just understands this is going to happen. He's got such a run on him that he was going to get ahead completely before the braking zone anyway.
But Blyer needs to be patient. He needs to remain in the hunt for the race. He needs the victory for Williams. Again, they need a really good race here. And so far, to be fair, they're having a pretty good race. This is a circuit which, generally speaking, when it comes to the statistics, has been fairly favourable towards the Aston Martins. And the Williams are against 2 of them. And they're doing really, really well at the moment, relatively speaking. And the Mercedes team, Blyer, Pajtor, Belliciotis, Pfeffer, they're scoring solid points. That's it. You need to just come out here scoring solid points. They don't need to be amazing, but they need to just get themselves settled and back in the hunt. However, we do have this. Belliciotis struggling, Fiala and Ellis Jr. behind.
Yeah, really late move over to the inside to cover off that inside line. Aston Martin goes to the outside, and they're going to go side by side here through the apex of 1 and 2, eventually getting the move done. And actually running the Williams driver out wide, but that helps his teammate through. So a double overtake there with Belliciotis dropping down 2 positions in 2 corners. So big points haul there gained for Virtus.pro team.
Certainly so. Here we go then, up towards, they're going to go side by side here because it's going to be 3 wide. Belliciotis into the Roger, he's going to back out of it, allowing Ellis Jr. to also back out of it to make sure that he's not side by side with Fiala going through the Roger, and to make sure they get a good exit. They're joined in this by Chinchik as well. McCormack's way off the back end. I think McCormack might be destined to score nil points from this race. He will not be scoring anything. He's in 10th position at the moment. Haniowski, though, within 5 seconds. There is a 5-second time penalty over the head of Dara McCormack. And so, unfortunately, it does seem as though Virtus.pro will not score any points with their lead driver at the moment. But they're still scoring, I guess, relatively decently, even without him. So I guess there's at least a bare minimum that.
Yeah, they're still getting a good amount of points on the board. That's a good position there for Fiala and Kevin Ellis Jr. to gain there. Now they're, one behind the other. They can kind of protect each other in that 6th and 7th. Unlikely they're going to be able to catch up and gain on Daniel Pajtor there for 5th. The gap is over 2 seconds. And so, for now, I think that's the best hope they can have in that mid-pack, just to try and protect 6th and 7th and use each other for the protection of those positions.
Oh, here's Thoman starting to check out a little bit. We ride on board with Blyer. Statsenko's having a cracking drive at the moment as he's trying to chase down the top 2, looking for his first victory and looking for that important victory for Virtus.pro. There's 2 laps left to go in this race at the Temple of Speed. You've got Dominic Blyer in 2nd position, dropped back from pole. Again, he did have pole position here yesterday, but didn't win from that pole position, dropped back a couple of spots. He'll be desperate not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, he got overtaken twice by the Mouse drivers on the final lap of the race. He dropped from 2nd to 4th in a rather disastrous final lap. And as you say, he's going to try to look to not repeat that big moment on the 2nd apex there of the chicane. They're really pushing through there. Side by side behind. Belliciotis here gets a really poor run off the corner. And that's going to be, is that Kevin Ellis Jr. up the inside?
Certainly so. And again, it's just having that big look at the moment as we keep our eye on Chinchik, Belliciotis, Fiala also in tow. They'll drag their way off of Lesmo too. They're being caught by McCormack and Pfeffer as well. It's going to be a big move potentially for Chinchik to score some more very healthy points for Vitality. At the moment, they have 95, playing 88 for Team Redline, 76 for Porsche Guano. Obviously, Redline, Porsche Guano are not in this race. Virtus.pro, who are there, they are on 68 points. But once again, that reminder, Virtus.pro have completed 2 races. Williams are in their 2nd race as well. Vitality They are on their third race. Just one more race left to go for Vitality, and it's a long way away. It'll be the last race of the day.
Yeah, for sure. This race has just fallen away slightly from Williams, I think. They had maybe 3-4 laps ago a much better points haul, and it's just kind of fallen away, although there's an opportunity here for Daniel Pastor to go for a move. That is Casabon protecting the inside. We're going to go side by side through the first couple of corners. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? He's got more than an overlap here. He should get this move complete over the curb on the second apex, and he does actually get it done. So can he protect fourth place from here to the end of the lap?
Is it complete though? Just about covered it off. Dom Blyer then retakes over the race lead, covers it off. They go around Curva Grande. Slightly better run coming in from Yuri Toman. Final lap of the race at the Temple of Speed. Yuri Toman looks to the inside to try and send one into the Roger. Around the outside goes Dom Blyer. Little bit of contact between the two, and here comes Mikhail Statsenko trying to make it stick but can't find his way through.
I think that's Kevin Ellis Jr. is in sixth place trying to fight his way in. And then there's another position back here. Beleziotis up against Fiala, just covering him off really, really close. Gets the job done. But there's still a few more opportunities on this Monza lap for these overtakes to be completed.
Yeah, indeed, that was incredibly close. Dom Blyer then is your race leader. We look at Thibaut Casabon, who's behind Daniel Pastor. This is the battle for fourth position. A little bit of a look coming in from Thibaut Casabon as they'll work their way through. Final stretch then for them to deal with as they head their way out of Ascari, down towards the Parabolica. Is there any move coming in? I think 0.3 of a second, slightly too large for Mikhail Statsenko. And it looks like the issues of yesterday when it came to qualifying on pole position have been put to bed by Dominic Blyer, who's going to come through the final corner. He might be ill, but he's not showing it on the track at the moment. And for Atlassian Williams Sim Racing, when they needed it the most, Dominic Blyer comes through to take victory at the Temple of Speed. Mikhail Statsenko denied a first victory, will finish in second, and Yuri Toman onto the podium again here in the Esports World Cup. And third, still solid points for Vitality, but what a victory by that driver right there.
Incredible drive. I was just saying how that race was falling away from the hands of Williams.